Welcome to the Spinning Our Gears podcast. Before we begin, a quick reminder. All views, issues, and opinions are solely those of the hosts and their guests and do not reflect the opinions or positions of any department, agency, city, county, municipality, state, or country, or any other organization. This show is rated E for explicit. Listening and viewer discretion is highly advised. Spinning Our Gears is a law enforcement leadership and mental health podcast. We confront the issues and conversations others are afraid to deal with. Leadership failures, the culture within law enforcement, accountability, and the realities of life on and off the job. You can find us on YouTube, all of the major podcasting platforms and social media outlets, as well as online at spinningourgears.com. And now, without further fanfare, this is the Spinning Our Gears podcast.
Spinning our gears. Admin talks and broken plans, doing the best that we can. Jokes on shift, truth off mic, trying to live a normal life. Mental health ain't weakness, no, it's the stuff we learn as we go. Say it out loud, make it clear, this job don't own us here. So tune it in, don't disappear when it all gets heavy here. Real talk, real voices clear, spinning our gears, podcast is here.
Welcome back, Warriors, to another episode of the Spinning Our Gears podcast. It is Turk. I've got co-host Erica with me. It's going to be kind of an interesting episode because I got a bit of a stuffy nose and kind of chomped on my tongue earlier, so might be some tongue twisters thrown in here and there. But what's extra special today is we have a guest with us today, and I'm going to try to say his name without stumbling over my bit tongue. It's Sergeant J. Packey Dempsey. How's it going, sir?
Very good.
Good. Erica, how are you doing?
I'm doing well, brother. Glad to be here. Glad to be present, and super excited about this show because I've done some research on this gentleman that we've got on the program today, and he has. Look, I was a detective. You know how we are. We look at stuff.
Yeah.
He has an incredible story, and there's so much opportunity for learning, training, education, empathy, understanding. It's amazing. So I'm always excited when we get guests on the show, but I'm really excited about this one.
Yeah, there is a lot there. I also did. It's funny, before Erica hopped on and before we hit record, Sergeant Packey over here was telling me about how he was investigating our show because we're all investigators here, and you got to know who you're talking to before jumping into it. Just that curiosity in the back of your brain. So we definitely have that going on together. Erica, what's been going on with you lately?
Private practice is growing finally. I've got a really good reputation in this area, and which is wonderful. But I wanted a really good reputation that was statewide because I treat veterans and first responders across the state of Texas. And so, in the last couple of months, I've had to spend some money. You know, you got to spend money to make money. But the word is finally starting to get out that hey, there really is a therapist out there that understands. She's been through some of the same things that we have, and she's one of us. So maybe, just maybe, she might be a good fit for us. So private practice is going great. So yeah, things are good.
Right on. And I'm sorry, bad host of me. I should have asked. Do you want to go by Jay, Packey, Dempsey, Sergeant Dempsey?
Hey,
you give it to us.
I had 3 girls in the house. I got called all kinds of names, so I'll answer anything. But Packey is, I consider you my friend, so that's what my friends call me is Packey.
Okay. All right, right on. Well, starting off, we'd love to hear, the background of your law enforcement career. I know there was some military in there as well. Kind of give us the whole story there.
Well, I started out as a reserve, did 3 years, painfully working my way into being hired as a dream. My dream was K-9 and be a narcotics investigator, and it didn't happen overnight. And there were some stumbles along the way, but I had to keep pressing forward to what I thought was where God was moving me to. Ended up in the streets of Selma, Alabama, home of the 1965 racial marches. Worked for the sheriff's office, the police department. We had task force back and forth. We all mingled and worked together, but I was the only dog for many, many years. So I had a lot of on-job training and on-the-job failures through my career. Ended up moving to Orange Beach, Alabama, which is a tourist town. They needed a firearm instructor. My wife of 32 years has a teaching degree, and she's been teaching here for 26 years, raised 2 kids, got grandkids. So I went into the private sector for a while, cut grass, business. Every business I touched did well, but it just didn't hit that spot that it was time to write a book. And I'm not in it for the money. I'm in it to save that one person. Make that one person pick up all the points in the class and pick on that one thing. And I get calls sometimes, hey, I did this because I heard a little piece of your class, and maybe God's got plans for more than one person. I don't know. I just show up for places like this and podcasts like this. Y'all do an amazing job. I follow y'all. I may or may not have a Facebook addiction. I mean, I don't know, but
I'm super curious at the handler in me, the former handler in me. Doing my research, I learned that your first dog was
Princess.
actually a pet to start off with, right? And that's not kind of the typical way that things are done now.
Yeah,
what was the process like for you
Aw.
taking her from pet to working dog?
Well, I'll just be honest with you. I watched the movie Cops. Read magazines, and I still read those same old magazines. I like an old physical copy, and I made a lot of mistakes, and people took me in. They were so nice to me. Other National Narcotic Dog Detector Association, I met some lifetime friends with them, and they literally let me sleep on their couch and would help me train, and went to a bunch of seminars, and I learned about what to do, but mostly about what not to do. So the training process, I started out with a tennis ball, and she was an excellent retriever, and we just went from retrieving to hiding the tennis ball. Every day she would show up at the door, let's play ball, and so she had that high drive. Got her out of a kennel, a dirt floor kennel in a rural area of our county, and she was the run of the litter, and she went defied all odds. And when it boiled down to that 1 minute struggle, she did exactly what she trained to do. Nothing more, nothing less. Same thing as you and I will do in that situation. We will not rise to the occasion. We will fall to the level of our training.
What was that when it comes to the process? Was that something that you had to push the department for? Was it something they wanted and then asked you to help out with? And you said, hey, I have a dog that I think would work really well. I'm just kind of curious the background there.
Riding with reserve kind of fueled my passion in law enforcement. So the sheriff here was actually on the bridge on a horse during the 1965 marches, and he loved bloodhounds, and he had 40 of them at the jail. And when he finally hired me, it's in my book, the process of hiring me, he called me in almost immediately and said, I want you to figure out what this thing called a drug dog is. And he handed me a piece of paper, it had a phone number on it, and said, call this person and see if they'll help you out. And so I had what I had learned on Cops and magazines and TV shows, which I glued to and watched and rewind and watched and rewind. That's how I, made my debut into K9 when he was like, hey, let's research this thing called, and a cadaver dog. He said, what? Because we had a lot of drownings and bodies in the area. So just through this type of connection right here, I met this person, met that person who knew a little bit, and just put all the pieces of the puzzle together.
It's incredible how a lot of admin out there, They love the idea of a dog. They love the idea of having that picture on social media or in the newspaper, but then they put so much of it on the potential handler or on that section of the department where they don't provide a lot of resources to you. It's go figure it out yourself. And a lot of the success and a lot of the failure is on you. And I'm sure you probably went through that as well.
Oh, yes, sir.
Yeah. So you have your own dog at home that you ended up turning into a working partner. I can't imagine having a dog previously that had some training before I got it. I cannot imagine the both frustration but also reward of training up a pet dog into a working dog, as well as the emotional connection. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Yeah, I had actually had a dog that took really good care of me when I was an infant, and her name was Princess, and I always wanted another German Shepherd, but she died because of illnesses that come from what I call the inbred type or the American Shepherd. So I did a research and went with the one that came from Germany with better hips, and it was actually some of the training and stuff and seminars I went on. They were like, the dog stays inside before you do. And because that's how I felt, she's part of me. She doesn't go anywhere. She doesn't sleep in the car or kennel. So there was a huge emotional connection. I had a child in the house that from the marriage I'm in now, and that was golden. Them two clicked, So it was a lot went on that day. A lot of emotions went on during my incident. And one of them was, the actual, hey, my friend, my confidant, who's willing to lay her life down, is in trouble too. So.
Yeah. And let's go into that. Let's go into the incident that took place. Kind of lay it out for us. I've seen the video, done the research, but I think kind of comes out better from the person's mouth themselves. So.
I was assigned to the narcotics division at the time. It was a really warm day, December the 7th, 1994, around noon. The deputies, the few we had, were tied up with court and transporting prisoners, so they sent me to a high crime area, which was a Section 8 low-income housing area that was former Craig Air Force Base in Selma. And their ideology or logic was we were actually sending two people to the call of gambling and drug usage and loud music, and the people in there was tired of it, and we had been out there somewhere around 200 times that year. I arrived on scene. There was 8 males. I got out, and I knew most of them from prior encounters because we worked street-level narcotics. Crack was really big back then, so we were literally driving from stop sign to stop sign and taking them off the corners. And this one kid just wouldn't leave. As he turned to walk away, he had a piece of plastic between his finger and thumb and stuck it in his pocket. And I stopped him, asked him his name, never once gave me his name, never really even spoke. Went to arrest him, and he attacked me. And when he attacked me, I hit this new thing that had just came out. I was actually in the testing phase, called a bailout system. So I hit the bailout system. The dog came out, took him off of me. The other guys had started coming in to help him in the struggle, but just her presence kept them a little at bay. Of course, they put their hands under their shirt and was telling me what they were fixing to do to me and stuff like that. Just typical wannabe gang guys. And long story short, the dog engages. We end up in view of the camera. I had just recently purchased the camera from Sears. Had a person in my life that was a wiring genius, and I thought, well, if the guys cops are walking around with a camera, I can just have one on my dash. And so caught the incident on video. Suspect got my gun, and about the time he was fixing to shoot me with it, the dog came in and he swiped her, hit her in the head and the ground in the gun stovepipe. Neither one of us knew it. So he starts pulling the trigger, telling me I'm going to die, and I'd already went 1 minute with him, so I spent, and I was in good shape, or what I thought to be in good shape, and my lungs burned. I could see the pulse in my eyes. I felt like I'd ran in the cold, and I was like, just forget it, let him go, and he kept pressing the trigger, and I saw very distinctly an image of my wife and kids sitting on the porch, and I said, I'm never going to see them again, and somebody else is going to walk her down the aisle. And I could hear my instructor. I could literally feel his breath on my neck saying, are you just going to lay there and die? I regained my footing, realized my gun was missing, went for my backup weapon, did exactly as I trained, as you train in the academy, 5 rounds, center mass. And he just ran off like he was unaffected. And I thought, man, I missed. I was a firearm instructor. I was like, I missed. And I looked behind him, and the other gang members were standing there. And I thought, well, if I missed him, who'd I hit behind there? Gave chase off camera. He fell. When he fell on his back, he turned and tried to shoot me again with my pistol, kept pulling the trigger, and I realized that's my gun. So I was able to take it away, the dog engaged, to take it away, put the dog down and to secure that she would bark, and went back to 00 on the radio.
And I really want to thank you. It takes courage. I don't care how many times we tell these types of stories. It's hard. It's hard every time because it connects us back. But one of the things that I definitely heard in your story, and Turk, I definitely want your input on this as well, is when the shit hit the proverbial fan and you thought to yourself, this is it, the most important things came into your mind. Your wife, your children. It's amazing how that happens.
Of 4 months.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what I think a lot of people don't understand is when adrenaline starts pumping and you start getting involved in that situation, the tunnel vision that takes place. People think of tunnel vision as something you're voluntarily doing.
The barrel looked about that big around. That's all I could see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've got a friend who was in a shooting, and he said that he could literally see the shell casings come out of his firearm when he was firing off. But you also have to take into account that you have those 4 or 5 other guys that are out there, in the background that could become involved in this incident. You have to take into account that you have a canine partner out there who has already engaged and re-engaged and is also in danger of the firearm. There's a lot that you have to take into account during these situations that the average person has just never been through.
And something very interesting, I fired what I thought to be 2 rounds because that's what I did on the firing range. I thought I fired 2 rounds. When I approached the suspect with my backup gun and he tried to shoot me, I didn't find out till later that night I had fired all my rounds. Because the last time I left the firing range, I fired 5 rounds.
Sure. Muscle memory.
The brain had processed that, and I would have died right there if he'd cleared the gun because I was approaching with an empty gun.
And I think there was, kind of the perfect storm, because if I remember correctly when I was researching this, it wasn't necessarily that he obviously said you were in shape, but your whole gun belt got shifted, correct? And that's how he was able to get the gun out of your holster? Right.
I was reaching for the radio, and he had his hand behind me, and I was concentrating on the radio and getting one handcuff on. They didn't have Velcro at the time. It was just regular old keepers, and nylon was fairly new at the time, so it had shifted, and I had you'll see me actually look down to see where's my gun,
And I will say that obviously the training was there because you went to your backup weapon, which one of the things that irks me right now is you see officers out there that have every piece of equipment under the sun on their belt and on their vest, but they just how they have it positioned, that they don't train. They have no clue what they're doing. And again, like you talk about, falling to your level of training, if the crap hits the fan for them, they're going to be in a world of hurt because they don't know where their equipment is, they don't know how to use it. Whereas you obviously had that training in your back pocket.
And I had a ritual. I would empty my primary weapon before I left the range, and I'd pull my back up and fire it. And that's what saved me that day was God and the actual training my brain was able to process in a millionth of a second. The brain is an amazing tool that people haven't even begun to figure out. So if you don't train it, the brain can't make it up. But if it's there, it can recall it in blink.
Fine motor skills for sure. Before we move on, it wouldn't be a Spinning Our Gears episode if I didn't bring up this and ask the question, how did your admin either support or not support you after this incident took place moving forward?
My boss was Wayne Odom, behind me 100%. My chief deputy, same age as me, we came up through the ranks together. He was golden, but I actually had friends and co-workers never speak to me again after that.
Really?
I think that hurt worse.
Yeah.
These are people I would have at church and over my home. They didn't think, they judged me, but they weren't there. So I mean, yeah, there's a tape, and the tape doesn't tell everything. So the admin was really good. They just didn't know what PTSD was. We saw some of that coming back from the Gulf War, but we didn't. There was no mental health. There was no. What is that? And if you said, "Hey, I'm having trouble," you were out. You were
Right.
assigned to a desk, or
Yeah.
you were out. I mean, it's just what it's just what it was in that time.
There was
And
no.
Turk and I have talked about this on this show because my first shooting incident occurred in the extreme early '90s, and back in those days, of course, like just like today, right? You go home for 6 weeks, you got paid leave, yay! No, that's not good. They sent me home to be by myself. I had to go to a therapist, and I knew
4 times.
that if I said the wrong thing,
That's right.
not only was I going to be involved in the shooting incident, but I was going to lose my livelihood. And so I lied. Are you having nightmares? No. Are you having intrusive thoughts? No, absolutely not. Are you feeling depressed, anxious, angry? No, dude, I am great. And none of that was true. I was experiencing all of those, but back in those days, if you spoke up, that was it. It didn't matter that you were feeling this way because you were doing your job correctly. It didn't matter back then. Things are beginning to change now. So I'm just kind of curious as to what your experience was with all of that. I know mine was go to San Antonio, do shoot, don't shoot, you're cleared, put you back on the road, and that was it. There was no mental health counseling or nothing after that.
There was an election going on. The sheriff that had been there 37 years. He was on his way out, and the new sheriff ran on the campaign that he would return me to duty, despite what the community was saying about me. And he did return me to duty. He did what he said in his campaign, but I sat behind a desk, which was worse. But this is months and months and months, and after the second grand jury finally acquitted me, the first one was a hung jury.
Yeah. And I don't think we are trained to deal with that. The emotional aftermath. It's not just the emotional aftermath of the shooting itself. It's the emotional aftermath from people second guessing your decisions when
Oh
they're,
yeah, yeah,
literally sitting in their
yeah,
living room with their
yeah.
ceiling fan running and their cold frosty
Uh,
beverage in their right hand. And we've
yeah,
got literally milliseconds to make these finite life or death decisions.
that's a
And that
fact.
I think for me anyway, and maybe you can speak on this, but Packy, but for me, the shooting was hard, but it was the aftermath. It was waiting for that grand jury, not knowing what they were going to decide. Was I going to go to jail for doing my job, for saving my own life, my partner's life?
Yeah.
And back then I was a single parent, so I had a young child at home. I was terrified for, I think it was like 6 months for the grand jury to finally come back and no bill me. Fuck that.
Yeah.
Yeah, nothing moves quickly in the in the court system whatsoever.
Oh.
And I guess what even shocks me is that the only courtroom training you get in the academy or even an FTO has to do with how you testify for a normal case. There are no normal cases out there, but no one prepares you for, if you're involved in a major incident, what that's going to look like, because it's totally separate than a normal speeding ticket or even, criminal case in the courtroom. There's a whole different process. Can you kind of describe to us what that was like for you?
Well, it's like, I was trying to put it this way. It just the blunt way, you cut this out if you want to, but they didn't care that my life was in danger. They didn't care that I had done all this pre-prep and actually saved the county millions and millions in lawsuits because of all the prep I'd taken out of my pocket and spent. All they were concerned about in that particular grand jury was the color of my skin.
Did they harp more on the canine aspect of it or the shooting aspect of it, both of it put together? What was their main number one reason for trying to jam you up?
They immediately put flyers out through town. This is pre-social media. Hey, one of ours were killed because of he was the color of his skin and by a white officer, and why did the government's trying to cover it up. There was no there was no logic in it. I knew the parents, or I knew the dad, and what was just a grace is the fact that the parents actually got to watch the video and they dropped the lawsuit. Now, it was against the will of the activists. You got to understand, these are full-time people that all they do is activists, and they sue. And so, and the way it's judged today, it's not the color of your skin, it's the badge you wear in the uniform. They're just against the rules, don't apply to them. And I can't imagine what these guys are going through, the amount of pressure, every single call to do the right thing.
You hit a super important point there. You look George Floyd, Michael Brown, even the Carmelo Anthony case. That's the stuttering right now. Logic completely goes out the window. It has nothing to do with the facts that took place. You have confessions on tape of what happened. Doesn't matter. We're going to take the public opinion, and like you said, these activists, that's all they do 24/7 is they look for lawsuits, and they're going to paint their own narrative.
They worry about the money.
Yeah, I can't imagine what that was like back in the 90s when there was almost no way to counteract that with social media. It was just what they were saying and what they were their narrative given to you.
31 straight days in the paper, noon and evening news, and then this report came out where I had a fantastic investigator with the state of Alabama, and he was well respected. And when he said, video and physical evidence will clear the officer and the grand jury, and the family decided to drop the lawsuit, and they began to think their fire had ran out.
Sure.
But it did activate something awesome in the community. The community went together, bought cameras for all our patrol cars. The police departments and sheriff's office bought security hosters, which was real expensive.
Yeah.
And you could buy a $20 hoster. It was $119 for Safari Security 3. And the community, it didn't matter what color their skin was. They were tired. It's just a small amount causing all this problem. They wanted their community back. And they stepped in, and it took some time. But I eventually...
Well, what's incredible, you talk about, the God side of it, you'd mentioned that you had just purchased this camera for your car. Imagine how this would have gone differently had you not had that in your squad car. You hadn't had that physical evidence, and again, it would have been one narrative versus another narrative, and essentially it would have been you by yourself because Princess can't talk. She can't speak human, and she can't back you up.
And what was odd, or we never understood, they never prosecuted the other 8 guys that got together with the attorney, made up a story that was total opposite of what was on the video, and they never prosecuted them with that because they just wanted it to go away.
Right.
And the camera was definitely. I paid $800 for the camera. Imagine.
Yeah.
30
Inflation.
years from now, what? And that would be quite an investment for an officer to make. That I believed that I saw this coming, and I trained around the camera. I figured out how to position my car. I actually positioned my car at just a perfect angle, kind of cattywampus to the cul-de-sac. Just so many things came together that day, and it was from my training.
But
Packey, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
I didn't mean to interrupt you,
Go.
Turk. This question popped into my head, and I'm old, so if I don't ask it now, I'll forget about it 30 seconds from now. What was your relationship like with God before this incident? Did that relationship shift as a result of the incident?
I was raised in church. Every time the doors were open, I was there. When I went to the police academy, my first part-time job was a pastor security. So I was in the church. I was involved in ministries in the church, and I began to let that pipe leak. I call it the drip. I began to slowly drift away until the leak turned into a rot. We
carry more than we show, but we don't have to carry it alone. It's spinning our gears. Yes, spinning our gears. The stress, the laughs, the blood, the tears. Hard days, long years. We talk it out, face the fears. If it's been keeping you up at night, you're not the only one here. It's spinning our gears. Admin talks and broken plans, doing the best that we can. Jokes on shift, truth off mic, trying to live a normal life. Mental health ain't weakness, no, it's the stuff we learn as we go. Say it out loud, make it clear, this job don't own us here. So tune it in, don't disappear when it all gets heavy here. Real talk, real voices clear, spinning our gears, but just is It's spinning our gears.